How to apply Seal Green E10 Epoxy Sealer. In this video, what we're going to show you is after you've done your color and you allow it to dry 12 hours or a little more than that. To do the application, you will need to have some roller covers, some paint pads, 4x6, and a small brush to apply the product down. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and trim the floor. As you can see, our whole floor is nice and dry. You can see where an area where the door needed to have color and no color. We always seal a little over that to make sure that that edge is nice and sealed together. So the first thing we do is assemble our 4x6 pad. This is going to be our trim edge. Instead of brushing every corner and bending over, we have discovered that this pad attached with a adjustable pole works really well, so you can get into the big and little areas of the floor. Once you get your E10, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pour some of that in the base of your paint tray. We like to use a plastic paint tray, so that way as we drag it around the floor, it does not scratch the floor itself. We try to do as little bending as possible, so it's very simple to do this and not very tiring. As you can see, he's going to get his pad nice and soaked and then drain it a little bit and make sure that it's going to apply a nice even coat. When you trim, because the pad puts a lot of material in it, there's only the need to do it one time. As you can see, because it is a 6-inch wide pad, it's going to give you a really nice 6-inch frame all around the room. So this is the first step in sealing the floor, is to go ahead and trim the whole floor, go through all the edges of the floor and get it all covered. One of the beautiful things about our E10 sealer is that even if it dries, it's not going to create a dry line or a frame that is visible when you finish your project. Take your time, get it done. By doing it with this method, you avoid trying to wrapping the walls and covering and a lot of extra work. So just go ahead and trim the whole room. That may take you 10-20 minutes, depends on the size of the project, or it might take you a couple hours. Now the next step is to go ahead and roll our whole floor. Using a 1/2-inch snap roller, in this case we have a 9-inch roller. If you have a larger project, you can use larger rollers, but it's a 1/2-inch snap roller on a roller cover with a pole. We go ahead and use what we call the pour and roll method, which means is that we pour actually the material on the floor about the size of a pancake, and then we go ahead and roll it out. As you can see, there was some left over in the tray from the trimming. We go ahead and pour that on the floor itself, and then we add a little extra. Initially, in the first time that you roll, because the roller is new, it's going to soak a lot more material, so you will have to put a little extra material on the floor. After that, a pancake size amount on the floor is about the right amount. There is no need to get to the edges because they're already trimmed, so now it's a lot easier to just go ahead and just roll the entire floor evenly. As you apply the first coat, you will notice that the color itself looks like it's getting wet and it's acquiring a richer look in color as well, and some gloss. Now, be aware that this first coat is primarily to enhance the color and to seal the floor. The E10 Epoxy Sealer is a vapor barrier sealer designed to work in floors below grade, like basement floors, and it's also a vapor barrier. If your floor has any type of humidity issues to certain levels, this coating will protect and maintain your floor looking great all the time. Also, because you seal the humidity out of the floor, it's going to be a lot warmer than it used to be before you actually started working on your floor. As you can see, one of the key things is not to leave any white marks of the sealer or any puddles of the sealer. Just spread it evenly. We like to use one hand as opposed to two, so we can get a nice even spread coat through the whole floor. Take your time. If you get bubbles, that means you're rolling too fast. So you just want to take your time and do it slowly and nice and even, and that's going to give you a really beautiful floor. One of the beautiful things of this product is that if you have to stop, it's preferable you stop in small areas, but it does not leave a dry line from starts and stops. So we'd like to get the whole job done at once, so that way we can come back in a little while later and do it again. As you can see, once you finish applying, it looks all wet. Now, about 60% of the coating will soak into the concrete, so when you get back, it's going to be kind of a semi-gloss in some areas, a little glossy in others. Usually we want to give it an hour to 2 hours drying time before we get back and put a second coat, or E10, which is always required, especially in new floors like this one. First thing you need to do is make sure to touch it, that you don't stick, that it's nice and dry. And now the beautiful thing about the second coat is that you're going to follow the same process using the same roller that you had before, and then just roll it out. There is no need to trim the walls anymore because the initial trimming puts enough amount for 2 coats. So now you just go ahead and follow the same process of pour and roll. You're going to have to be more careful because the second time the floor only gets glossy. The color does not really change anymore because the first coat created that color enhancement change. So make sure that you cover the floor evenly through the whole area. Once you're done with that process, process, the next thing to do is basically just continue applying the product, pour and roll, pour and roll, pour and roll until you get it all done, and then just let it dry. If you're going to be applying some other coatings, it's best to leave it at least overnight or 12 hours before the next coating is applied. If you're going to apply a third coat of E10, then you can wait an hour or two and then apply it. As you can see here in the video, after 12 hours, here's the floor with the 2 coats already on it, a nice even gloss. You can see the reflection of the lights and the richness of the color.